Today, we are going to go over the acid rain effects lab of this unit. Now, acid rain, as you may recall, has a pH of typically around 4.2, although it's gone as low as 2.8. Now, what is the pH of natural water? It's not 7 neutral, as you might think. It is actually around 5.6, because CO2 in the air also makes it slightly acidic. The way we're going to do this lab is we're going to put these various items, and I'll explain them in a minute, into vinegar or water, and watch the changes over the next several days in the characteristics of these items. Now, of course, a more realistic would be to be sticking it out and dripping it like rain, but this is what we're doing to model the effects of acid rain. So what do I have here? I have the vinegar, white wine vinegar, and water. And I know we did this the other day in our Zoom class, but just to remind you, I'm going to take the pH of these. So this is pH paper, and I dip it into the vinegar. You notice that it's a bright red color. And you go up here and you look and you match the color, and vinegar looks like it is somewhere between, really close to 3 actually. Now you compare it just to tap water. Get it in. Notice it's much greener. And you go around and you see that it is somewhere probably around 6.5. So if you said this was 6 and this was 3, they're 3 units apart. But remember, that's not threefold difference. Every 1 pH unit is a factor of 10. So this vinegar is 1,000 times more acidic than our natural water. Now what we have here, put these aside for a second. I have some items which are going to represent things like buildings and pavements, or non-living. We have some nails and paper clips. Drop 1 into each. Nails and paper clips. Now, I have a little piece of fossil. That's made of calcium carbonate. You can think of this somewhat like sculpture. Sculptures are made of marble, which is similar. And we're going to see what happens. So put a little bit of that, a little bit of that. So that should be your buildings or your statues. We also have eggshells. Now eggshells can represent non-living, or you can look at them as how the effects of acid rain are on eggs, such as amphibians and such, and how their eggs are impacted by acid rain. Now I'm putting 2 pieces in each because partway through, before like tomorrow, we're going to take it out and see what has happened partway to the eggs. I'm going to have to separate that egg. And the last, I have green leaves. I have azalea leaves, which are large leaves, and I have something with a little bit more stem, which is just a weed from my backyard. This is all we're doing today. Poke them in a little bit, covering it up, and tomorrow we'll come back and see what has happened. And then the next day and the next day, and we will make a running streaming picture catalog of all the changes in these 2, comparing the effects of acid rain versus normal rain. Now you can go as part of your homework assignment and look more details as to what the effects of acid rain is on animals, buildings, plants, and the soil. Welcome back. It's been 1 day since we put our materials in the vinegar and the regular tap water to study the effects of acid rain. Now by now you should have looked at your study guide and been learning a little bit more about acid rain. What is the main acids in acid rain? I'll give you a hint, sulfuric acid, but it's not the only one. How does it form in the atmosphere? And what is the main source of this sulfur that turns into sulfuric acid? There's one main source in the world, particularly in the United States. So you can already see from a close-up of these to close-up of, stop, close. From a zoomed in view, you can immediately begin to see the differences between the two. Now, the first thing I'm going to look at, I have pulled out one of the two eggshells, as I said I would. This is the eggshell that's from the vinegar. What do you notice about it? It's falling apart. It bends. It crumbles. It's deteriorating. This is the eggshell in the water. Snap. Snap. It's already, you can see how the acid is affecting the eggshell. If you look down into these, you can see better. You can see how the green leaves and such are becoming browner, brown spots on them. From the side over here, you can see the nail. How does that look? Very dark. That's the vinegar. That's your acid rain. Let's go back and look at our normal rainwater model, which is the clear water, the tap water. See how the leaves look still green? The eggshells look intact. You can see the shell at the bottom. From the side, you see how the nails and paper clips look pretty much the same as they started as well. Again, and another thing you might notice back on the vinegar is how it's foamy. That came about because the fossil was being eaten or degraded, dissolved by the acid, and it's much smaller. We'll look at how much it's changed at the end of this experiment, but you can see how much it's gone down, how much smaller it is compared to the one in the water. So we'll come back again later. Welcome back to Kitchen Science. It's been several days now that our materials have been in the vinegar or the water in our simulation of acid rain. Do you notice the difference in just the clarity of the water? Now we're going to take the items out and see what has happened to them over many days of sitting in these solutions. Start with the water. Just scoop everything out. My leaves. And as you can see, the leaves are still pretty green. The wheat is beginning to get a little brown, but you still have good, solid integrity. Looking at the eggshell. See how it crisply breaks? Let's look down a little farther. Here's our fossil. See all the ridges? All the fine markings on it? There's a little more eggshell. Last, let's look at the nail and the paper clip. Still fairly shiny silvered. Now, let's pull out the items out of the vinegar. It's foamy, showing we're still having some reaction going on. There's the eggshell, as best as you can tell. It's falling apart. Let's see what else we have in here. And yes, it does smell. I see little bits and pieces of shell in there, but nothing else. So it looks like, looks like the shell is gone. The egg, for the most part, is falling apart. You can see it crumbles, just smashes. If I smash this, it stays intact. But if I smash this, it just falls apart, dissolves more. The leaves, compare those leaves. Very brown. Compare these two. And look at the difference between the paper clip in water and the paper clip in the acid. Definitely browner. I'll put it on a white pal so you can even see better the color difference. Shiny and dull. Shiny and dull. Last, this is the little itty bitty piece of shell left. No, sorry, not shell. That is a little bitty piece of fossil. That's hard. That's what's left of the piece of fossil we put in. Eaten away, rounded, and eroded. And that is what has happened after several days in acid and demonstrates the effect of acid rain on living and non-living things.